It's my pleasure to welcome the former Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, currently the leader of the opposition, Honorable Ranil on our show this evening. Welcome to the show. Mr. Wickremesinghe, the government is in a financial crisis. They just raised taxes, but yet they say they don't have to pay pensions this month. Domestic borrowings are very expensive. Interest rates are over 18%. Money printing, even though it is a very dangerous option with inflation already at 17% plus, 30 billion rupees was printed in the last 2.5 months alone. So the only option the government seems to have is to borrow in the international commercial markets. But you're being accused now of trying to stop the government's $500 million facility through HSBC, JP Morgan and Barclays. Are you being unpatriotic?
I am not trying to prevent anything. All I am stating is the position of the UNP in regard to the $500 million bond which is being raised through HSBC. Firstly, there is no legal authority to raise this money under the laws of Sri Lanka, and certainly I would say this is contrary to the law. If that is so, then there is no obligation on us to repay such a bond. There is no legal obligation. Now that's the first one. So I have put down the legal position. Secondly, is this bond necessary at this moment for Sri Lanka? We don't think so. I don't think this country can afford this bond, especially if you look at the technical terms given in this presentation made by the central bank.
Yeah.
It talks about repayment is a bullet payment. Coupon floating or fixed, half yearly or annual payment.
Right.
But the repayment is bullet payments. You take $500 million
right.
and you repay $500 million in one go.
Right.
You think we can afford do that? If you, Harsha, look at what our debt service is going to be,
right.
It keeps going up to about 800 million US, and if you keep borrowing some more,
right.
it will go up. Then in 1 year,
right.
It is going to be something like 1.3 or 1.4 billion US.
Yes, but then if there is growth and if there is money, then what is the problem in paying it back?
Where is the growth with the figures that you have shown here? There is no growth. That's why the government has no revenue. Business has come to a standstill. We are basically running on the remittances of the people who have gone abroad, because we can't give them employment here. They go out there. Their families are broken up. We are running on that. What's the growth that we are talking of? If a country is growing, you don't require this loan.
Well, I mean, for the country to grow, we need to do a lot of infrastructure investments, and the government is saying in this document that this money is for infrastructure.
I get on one. You're talking of high rate. Now, do you take this loan? This is convert to about 5.6 billion rupees.
Right.
Then, when you repay it, if you go at this rate, the rupee would have depreciated to about 180, maybe more. So you are taking at 5.6 billion, you are repaying at 15.6 billion. That's virtually the whole interest is going to be 10 billion. So that's, if you are looking at that as interest, as your interest,
right.
It's going to be as high as the commercial borrowings here.
Right.
Secondly, you get on to the issue of infrastructure. Where is the infrastructure plan for Sri Lanka?
Well, there is a Mahindra Andhra plan, is there?
Firstly, as far as infrastructure is concerned, the Mahindra Andhra plan, they are asking for money.
Right.
What are the projects they want money? This 500 million bond for.
Right.
Proposed coal power plant in Norichole.
Right.
Now, as you are aware, Norichole is already been funded by the Chinese government.
Right.
Then you have the proposed Southern Expressway.
Right.
The Southern Expressway is being funded by the ADB. Then proposed Putlam Padiniya main road. The work has already started on that. Hambantota port,
yeah.
The China Exim Bank has already are doing the feasibility studies. Then you are talking of proposed Northern Expressway, Trincomalee Investment and Tourist Zone, proposed coal power plant in Trincomalee, Habana Trincomalee Road. Look, none of those are going to take place until there is going to be peace in Sri Lanka. And you are talking of Kalpitiya tourist zone and others without feasibility. So already there is funding for this. And then why do you want this money? If you take at Norichole, I must tell you that Ravi Karanayaka asked a question from the government, and apparently it turns out that what we have got for Norichole is 300 million US, 20 years including a grace period of 5 years.
Right.
And the interest rate is 2%. Now do you want to take money from somewhere else and put it in? The secondly is, if you look at all the funds that are available, still I think as far as they claim here that money is not available.
Right.
But there is money available, something like 1.3 billion
this year.
Dollars this year on concessionary loans.
Yeah, I mean, altogether, according to the Minister of Finance, there is 4.7 yes, 7 billion.
4.7 billion. Then you haven't utilized. You have the Millennium Challenge, which we got, which I got. That they can't utilize.
You started on it, but they have suspended it.
Yeah, but for the years 2000 for 23,
right?
That's 500 million there. So there's enough for money. Why do you want this? And who repays it? It's you and I who are going to repay it.
So
at the end of the day.
So then, if there is money available for these infrastructure projects, then I mean, what do you think they are trying to do with asking for this money again?
That's one of the issues. I mean, why do you want this money? You say that this is for this type of projects. We know it's already funded. So obviously the money is being used for something else. And at one day we are going asked to pay 500 million US bullet repayment.
Right.
I mean, it's unheard of. We take loans, but we never repay on this basis. If you take a loan and build a house,
yes,
you are not asked to repay the money in one go, one shot in 5 years' time. How can the country face it? And since this is not legal, we have now said we will not honor it. If the bank wants to go ahead and give it, they do so at their own risk.
So you are saying it is not legal?
Yes.
The act of borrowing is not legal.
This borrowing is not authorized,
right,
and it is not in it's not in accordance with the law.
Okay. Now that is the government's that is what the government is doing. Now what people are saying, particularly the Colombo elite, they're very upset with you. They are saying, look, you know, Ranil Wickremesinghe is trying to be a Hugo Chavez. You see, he is saying he will cancel the HSBC license, and they are also saying, look, you know, he is getting involved in some internal shareholder battle of HSBC. I mean, how true are those statements?
Firstly, as far as the banking license is concerned, if you violate the law, you have to cancel the license of that bank. Why is it if HSBC has violated the law of this country, then their banking license has to be cancelled?
But this is very serious.
And it's serious, but then they might even, by doing this, they may even be violating some of the criteria put down by the Financial Services Authority in UK. So once responsible banking, and this is one of the issues that HSBC is facing now. Of course, the internal battle is about the interest of shareholders. I am looking after the interest of Sri Lankans, but you could find something in common. For instance, what are the shareholders saying? The shareholders are saying that interests of the shareholders are not being looked after.
Right. And
when they look at their incentive schemes, apparently you can get up to like 7 times your annual salary in preference shares. And you look at the way the incentives are done, it has no relation to improving the performance of the bank. This is attributed as one of the reasons for underperformance. Let's say HSBC goes ahead and gives this loan. Then someone in the senior management will put this on and will be entitled to more preference shares in the company. Then the UMP comes and he says, we don't repay it. We're not going to repay it. It's not legal. At that time, that guy doesn't return his preference shares. The shareholders have to take the hit on that.
So what you are saying is not only from the point of view of Sri Lanka, from the point of view of the shareholders also?
I mean, if you look at what the shareholders are saying, some of these people may be worshipping the HSBC, but you look at what the shareholders have been saying. They are saying the chairman should not have executive powers. And then getting on to, I don't think you could compare me with Hugo Chavez, but if you look at he looks after he's basically principally being anti-American. Mine is being pro-Sri Lankan. But I think it's a good instance you gave. Why does Venezuela have this pain? Because you have to remember that Venezuela is one of the countries that had to go through this debt crisis at the beginning of the 20th century.